Yo, what is up, everybody? So, welcome to another episode number 5 in a trek to get to 100 episodes. So, we got a really great guest lined up for you guys, but let's start by saying hello to a few people in the chat hopping in. So, John, how are you? Yolanda as well. Mr. Ben Curie, how are you? Raquel Flores, of course. And yes, we are here, everybody. So if you're checking us out for the first time, thank you so much for joining the show. Please, if you don't have, or if you have not yet, please go to our YouTube channel. You can help us build our YouTube channel over there. We're trying to get over at a 1,000 subscribers so we can customize our URL. So hit us up. Hit the like and subscribe button over there at the Gabe Little Experience over on YouTube. So thank you so much again, guys, for being here. And yes, Roy, all the way from Australia, appreciate you tuning in. So if you're checking us out on YouTube, go there, subscribe. And of course, we go to our favorite platform, LinkedIn, guys. You can check us out over there. We got the majority of the folks watching in. Miss Jenny Gold, how are you? You stayed up. Thank you, Mr. Graves. So appreciate you. And, of course, your partner, who are actually sponsors of the show. They are the design team that have created my logo. So let's give a little love to the Inky Black team. Thank you, guys. We are ready to go, folks. So, again, I have a wonderful guest. I met this gentleman a couple of weeks ago, and I was, again, I'm always looking to meet new people and explore. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Miss Flores, who was here in the chat here, kind of introduced me to this gentleman here, and once I started listening to how he was, and what he kind of expresses his passion and what we're about to talk about tonight, I knew that I had to have him on the show. So I've been following his content and been a part of his Twitter spaces and everything. So this gentleman is, well, you know what? I'm not going to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Guys, I want to introduce you to our guest tonight, Mr. Dennis Layden. What is going on, man?
Hey, GM, what's up, man? What's up? Appreciate you for having me. Thanks for the intro. It was very thorough. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I wanted to go a little bit further, but I was like, you know what? We got to maximize 45 minutes. So let me stop beating around the bush.
Let's go. Well, first of all, did you play the Panama song on purpose? Because I live in Panama City, or is that like
no? That is my intro. So I love it's just coincidence, but that's cool that you do. And
that is, yeah. Reminded me when I bartended back in the day. That used to be like every DJ and every like band that would come in to Spinnaker and stuff like that. They'd all play Panama either like on their PA or they just cover just for fun, just to do it. It's like, because they're in Panama. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, so when I hear it, I was like, is he that cool, or is he doing it because he's like that cool?
Either way, yes. So, guys, Dennis here, and the reason I wanted to bring him on because I've been learning about not just crypto and NFTs and Web3, but I've also wanted to learn like what it actually means to like get into the industry and learn about what Web3 is, right? I mean, I've heard people mention it. I've heard people talk about the metaverse and all these, but I was curious to understand exactly what that was, right? And that's when I found you, because when on my quest to search, I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was looking for, because you spend a lot of time giving not just information, right? You don't just like regurgitate information, but you also educate people on what Web3 is. So let's talk a little bit about that, because there's a lot of people here that are probably tuning in who are very much like me. And I know that there's multiple layers to it, but like in the simplest terms that you possibly can, explain what Web3 is for those who might want to, again, get into it, because this is a space that you live, breathe, and you're passionate about.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. That's funny, because that's usually like what people would say, like, that's a hard question. It's like, man, that's easy. Like Web3 is simple. You can look at it in a few different ways. Technologically speaking, Web3 is just any web interaction or experience that's facilitated in some way, shape, or form by blockchain technology. So right now, obviously, some basic examples and ones that we're really familiar with would be like cryptocurrency transactions, using dApps like Coinbase or OpenSea and doing things with your wallet. Technologically speaking, any type of interaction that's facilitated it would be considered a Web3 type thing. But there's also a philosophy and culture side to it. There's the reason that we do what we do and why we're trying to build Web3. And there's also, again, the culture side, which is the people that are participating in it. What does that actually mean? How do you read the room, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff here on LinkedIn that, people are saying is Web3 because of the technology, but isn't really Web3 because it's missing a lot of like the culture side and the philosophy side. It's not just about making money with the technology. It's about building technology with a purpose and utilizing, or at least focusing on the areas where technology has a lot of opportunity to make an impact, but nobody's really gone out and tried to do it because profit incentive. People need a reason to make something. They need to know that if they spend their time building something, it's going to return something for them. And with Web3, it's really cool because instead of it being corporate driven and profit driven, it's community driven, it's purpose driven. We want to do things because we can. And you'll see that there's communities that are popping up, and it could be marginalized groups of people on a social level, or it could be developers that are like, yo, we're tired of working for Google when we know that we could be putting this technology to use over here to help like fight, food and water disparate or issues, right? Like there's so many discrepancies socially speaking, and a lot of those things I feel like would just be naturally absolved if we were using the technology properly in the first place. But the people that are in charge of that typically need to have some type of profit incentivization behind it. And if there's no easy way to say like, hey, if we do this, then we could make this much money, then people will tend, at least the ones that are in charge of the finances, will tend to say, well, hey, let's focus on the things that we can make money on first, and then we'll get back to that later. And that never happens. So
Yeah.
for me, it's something that I'm very passionate about,
Yes.
given my background too. And we can go back and we can go into that in a little bit, but I figure
Yes.
that answered your first question, right?
Yes, that hits it on many levels, because most people, when they talk about Web3, the first thing that they go to is either cryptocurrency or they talk about NFTs, right? And there's multiple layers to those as well. So I've had this question asked, and I'm pretty sure you've had to deal with it as well. For those, again, who are just learning what this is, what is an NFT? Because a lot of people don't understand. They just see it as just art, and there's actually a
Yeah.
little bit more to it.
Yeah, a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on how you think about it. An NFT itself is just code that lives on the blockchain, just like just cryptocurrency too. It's just a bit of code. An NFT itself, though, is special because there's special information that can be held within it. So if you think about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or Ethereum, at the end of the day, there's really nothing that different between a fungible token like
I
Bitcoin
mean,
or Ethereum and a non-fungible token or an NFT like a Bored Ape Yacht Club. Because at the end of the day, they're utilizing the blockchain at the core to pay attention to who owns it and when that transfer happened and how much somebody gave for that thing. The difference is that with crypto, there's an understood value between them. So that's what we talk about in like fungibility. Like one Bitcoin is equal to one Bitcoin, one Ethereum is equal to one Ethereum or Ether, etc. When you get to NFTs, just because you have an NFT that's a part of a collection doesn't mean that it's worth the same amount as another NFT as a part of that collection. And that has to do with the intrinsic differences of the token itself, the data held within the token. So if you think of like a spreadsheet, for instance, you have a really basic spreadsheet that at the core, you only need to track one column and one row at a time. And each row is a new entry. When you're dealing with standard fungible tokens, that's typically how the ledger looks. It's like, oh, okay, here's this token, and then it gets transferred to this account. And it's just a back and forth type thing. So very simple two-dimensional type or maybe three-dimensional type spreadsheet where it's actually paying attention to the data. When you look at a non-fungible token, you have the ability to add custom columns to that spreadsheet, as many as you want. And for most people, that's apparent if you look at like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is like the most prolific NFT collection that's out there. There's dozens of different characteristics. There's the color of the background, the facial expressions that the individual character has, whether or not they're wearing a hat, earrings, a shirt type, etc. And those are all cataloged and indexed into their own categories. And each thing, each, just like you as a person, like when you change that hat, but you have all the other things the same, it's a new token now, and it has a inherently different value to it because of the fact that it has different information attributed to it. So that's the core level of it. Is a non-fungible token is a token just like a cryptocurrency token that lives on the blockchain, but instead of it having an understood predefined value that's in relation to all of the other tokens, it's understood by the network that each token has no value inherently and has to be determined based on the two parties or whoever it is that's interacting to transact that token.
Yeah. So that's, again, folks, there's still much left to learn, but this is what kind of Dennis. Yeah, this is, and this is kind of what Dennis's part of what he does very well is he teaches people like what these items are and like what it is in a way that people will not only understand it, but then also want to be more interested in learning about it and getting into it. Because again, I believe that this is the next wave of how we're going to deal with all aspects of our lives. I mean, it's just a natural progression. So I wanted to ask you again about a few other things. Let's gonna go. I love shenanigans, so we're gonna go a little bit off topic here. I love that you've been a bartender. So for those who don't know, Dennis was a bartender. How long were you a bartender? How long did you bartend?
Decade.
Okay. Now, what is one of the weirdest things you've ever seen happen as a bartender? Now, I'm pretty sure you got some stories, but there's usually got to be one or two that really just sticks out.
Weird, like weird,
like weird. I mean, like guy whipping his thing out on a
spring break hole here. So like, I got some stories. Like, so I want to say it's weird because it was pretty normal given the time of year. But I mean, like, I guess if you were anywhere else, you'd be like, oh, I could tell you like my favorite.
Okay.
So like the bar that I was at, Spinnaker, we had. We were a club in the middle of the day that served food. We were a club that was open 15 hours a day, and we had food served from like normal 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock until about 8 o'clock at night. And then it was full-blown club until 4 o'clock in the morning. So during the daytime, during spring break, back when it was in its heyday, the day shifts were where it was at, coming in at 11 o'clock and opening up. There's this one bar that I love to work called the Tropic Bar. And by the way, like this is a club that has like, I think at one point in time, if you counted all of them, there was around 25 to 30 individual bars within the club.
Wow.
That could have one or two people working behind it, plus a bar back at a time. So, we had 3 dance floors or so, a huge main stage. Like, it was just giant. So this one bar, my favorite to work during the daytime, was right like nestled in the middle between everything. And so like it's kind of like one of those weird islands where like you see like either like one restaurant that lives in like a little pyramid of like an island on a highway, right? Where it's like going around it and it's right there in the middle. So I had this one bar that I worked there, and that was my spot. It was right next to the exit to the beach, and it was right in between the beach and the entrance. And so people would literally just constantly pass me. They'd park on their way out to the beach, and they'd stop by my bar to get drinks before they went out. And so it was just such an easy fly trap type location.
Yes.
And totally get like overcrowded though. Like, I mean, to the point where you'd have 30, 40 people just standing there and like trying to differentiate between who needs what. And it was not uncommon for people to overstep their boundaries on a regular basis, like reach over and try to grab drinks or bottles or something like that. But one day I'm sitting there and I'm making my drinks in the service well, because not only do I have to make the drinks for all of the people that are running up on me asking for drinks, but I also got to make drinks for the servers that are printing tickets out. So I'm sitting there doing this, and then like this one girl walks up, and she just reaches over, like, and I mean, like, this is my service well, which is about this big. It's about as big as my computer is here. Right? So this is my, like, work area, okay? Like, first of all, like, just don't get in my work area. But especially don't try to, like, get in my work area. And this girl straight up was like, got tired of waiting, and she like reached around and went to go put her hand, and it was so innocuous too. It's like not even trying to steal alcohol. She went to go steal ice. And like she just went to go jam her hand in my ice bin, and I slapped her hand out of the way like before she even got there, and I grabbed my soda gun, and I just like put my finger. This is my favorite thing to do. Put your finger right there and hit her with the soda water, right? And so I just like sprayed her all in the face. Like her weave got soaked. She was so pissed, and it was just so much fun to be able to spray somebody in the face with soda water. And you know, it's totally okay. Like it's not even assault or anything. It's like reaching behind my bar. You're lucky I don't call security over here and have them throw your ass out into the middle of the street. So that's probably my favorite experience. I have so many other ones, but I think that's probably the most appropriate.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, there's plenty of inappropriate, and I don't care if you share.
I mean, I can keep going, but yeah, no, that's probably my favorite.
Okay. So let me ask a few other things that deal with bartending. So, how do you feel as a bartender when somebody sends back a drink, right? Or they say it's hey, this is too weak, or it's too strong. How do you feel about that when people do this?
So if you're just sending back the drink and saying like, yo, I don't like it, like, yo, I'm in the customer service industry, like that's totally fine. Like I'll remake you another drink. I'm not like, I don't own the bar. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh man, you're really squeezing me out of $6. I was never that kind of bartender, but if you're the kind of dude, come up to me, in the middle of the night and try to make a ruckus about how you want to taste the booze, I'm going to tell you straight up that I'm a good bartender. I am able to make drinks that don't taste like alcohol, and they will still get you good. All right, like dead ass. Like you can take a sip of this, and seriously, I would tell them this doesn't taste like alcohol, and I'd be like, "You're welcome, thank you." That's a compliment to me because that means I did my job well because I know how to mix my fucking drink. So depending on how arrogant the individual is,
yes.
Because at the end of the day, I know how to pour. I can feel it out. I can close my eyes and count it out and be on point. So I know that I don't underpour. If anything, I overpour. And so when somebody comes up to me when I'm overpouring them and it's like, yo, this isn't strong enough, I'm like, well, bro, then maybe you should go see a therapist or something because I'm telling you it is. I'm telling you it is.
Okay, so as a bartender, and then we'll get back into Web3 in just a minute, folks. I know. But as a bartender, and I love this question, what is your, Raquel's asking like me, what is your favorite adult drink? So I'm going to ask you the same question because mine is anything that has gin. So I've actually been here I did a New Year's live stream and I drank a whole bottle of Jameson in live. Yeah.
No, thank you.
I
don't like Jameson. I'm Irish and I don't like Jameson.
I know. Well, after that, I really didn't like messing with it either, but it's either gin or vodka for me. So it's got to be clear. As long as it's a clear liquor, I'm good. Oh,
Basil Hayden. I'm a big fan of just Kentucky straight bourbon.
Ooh.
Love it. I don't like Scotch too much. I like some Irish whiskeys. Don't like Jameson. It's not smooth enough for me. Cool story about Jameson. There's 3 different wheat or grains that you're supposed to use or that you can use to make Irish whiskey. Jameson only uses 2 of them because it's cost effective. Tullamore Dew uses all 3 of them. And if you want to try a real Irish whiskey that actually is made to tradition and to spec, do a little Pepsi challenge with Tullamore Dew and Jameson. I just don't like it. Now, Basil Hayden, though, or any type, like Woodford, Jefferson's, Basil Hayden, those are probably my top 3.
Okay. Have you ever had Pappy?
Oh, of course I've had Pappy. Like but not the which year.
Okay, yeah. So let's go back and talk about and unpack that because that's for the people who don't know what Pappy. Yes, channel? I am drinking now as we're talking. But yes. So for those who don't know what Pappy Van Winkle is, it is another Kentucky bourbon, and it is again very expensive. But I've only had it once, and I really liked it. I can't afford it.
It's expensive. I worked at a liquor store. I was the closing manager, and it was a really cool gig. I liked it, honestly. It was my manager was a dick. I quit because he told me to choose between taking my iguana to the hospital and unloading a truck on Tuesday morning.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I took my iguana to the fucking hospital and told him to kick rocks. But the we had an exclusive relationship with the distillery because I believe it's Buffalo Trace that owns Pappy Van Winkle
Yes.
now. Like that's the company. So we actually had like an exclusive relationship with them, and we had and we also worked like our little local liquor store had like a footprint of like 11 stores across the entire northwest region of Florida. And so they had a good relationship with all these different distilleries, and they got a bunch of Pappy down. And we had like this giveaway thing for like a week and a half, I remember. It was actually really cool because we had some Sazerac, we had some actually not the drink, like actual like a bottle of Sazerac, and like multiple year proofs of or vintages, if you will. I don't know what you would fucking call it. Happy. So we had like the 7, the 11, and we had one of those 21 years, and there was a few others as well. And it's honestly, after a certain point in time, I think it's just kind of overblown. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's because I like wine too. Wine's the same way.
Yes.
That's actually like I'm really nerdy about wine. Like I love drinking whiskey, but I love wine too. Wine, beer, and whiskey. If it goes in a barrel, I like it at some point in time, right? So the wine side of things, actually, fuck the wine side. Yeah, Pappy's had it. It was okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing. I'm not gonna go blow a paycheck
over a check. Yes.
Now, what I will though, like Jefferson's Ocean, that's my hands down favorite whiskey, and it's expensive. Like it's even more expensive than Basil Hayden. But Jefferson's is a distillery that is makes Kentucky straight, and they have their regular flagship bottles, but they have this one in particular called Ocean. And when you're making whiskey, bourbons and stuff, most liquor, you have to go in and agitate and stir every once in a while, and you have to do things like not a lot, but you still have to go and mess with it. Otherwise, it gets weird. So the guy at Jefferson's has a homie that has a research vessel in the Gulf, and he just has a deal with him where he keeps his casks of whiskey on the research vessel, and this thing's sitting out there for decades. You know what I mean? Like it's years at a time. Yeah. So he puts like a bunch of small batch barrels in the hull of the ship, and they sit there for the length of their maturation and gently agitate 24/7 because of the water. It is the smoothest whiskey you will ever drink. And, for the price, like it's maybe like $60-$70 for a bottle, but dead ass, like compare that to, what a special edition Woodford Reserve that tastes exactly like the rest of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so smooth. It's so rounded. It's so caramelized. It's not harsh. It doesn't attack.
Yeah.
The tannin is really well rounded, and I vibe on it.
Nice. I like that. Because again, I do prefer, again, clear, but I mean, when it comes to whiskey, if it does have that sort of, that vibe to it where where it feels like it's not choking you, that is where you're in trouble. Because that means.
Why do you like Jameson? Like, is that you just drink Jameson and you like to get choked? Is that what it's about? Like...
Well, so here's the thing. I started drinking it a couple years back. Quick story: when my father was passing away, he was going to die anyway. He knew he was going to die. But we would sit there and we would drink whiskey, and he had this bottle of Jameson that had been there forever. People sometimes gives gifts, and he was never an alcohol drinker. He never was. Yeah. But he knew he was going to go, so we were all sitting around and just started cracking open the bottles. And I guess there's a sort of a memory tied to it. So when I drink it, I guess it feels like that moment. So I drink it out and I go, there you go. So
I just spilled some on.
And yes, Jacob, I do like to get choked, if you want to know.
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, but yes, folks, that is the best part about what I like about Dennis, because again, not only is he very intelligent when it comes to Web3, but he knows what it's like to actually live life, and that's the best part about this. So
hell yeah! So did my computer. I just on the keyboard.
So
No, not
that
on the keyboard, on the notepad. That's all good.
yeah, that's okay. But these are the kind of things that happen on my show. So this
I
this is
would be cheap.
this is
Oh, it's still
normal.
work. This is high proof alcohol, baby. That's evaporating anyway. It's all good.
That's
You
right.
just cleaned it. I made it. Thank you so much. My computer's clean now.
There you
Uh,
go.
no, but dead ass. Same thing, man. I have my best friend. He passed away. From cancer when I was 21. He was 22, and he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that's like some shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's not like it's not like, oh, maybe I'll make, like, no, man, like that's, you're done. So he like, we partied, like he was my first roommate. We drank his grandma's Crown together since we were in high school, and that was actually for me for a long time, up until a couple of years ago. That was my thing. Like I'd get off work and I'd drink Crown, and I got to the point where I was drinking, like I'd probably drink a bottle of Crown a week, just because. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not really doing this in remembrance anymore. Now I'm just like, and I got ADHD too, so I'm like, I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or if I just don't know when to stop, but I just, like, it's not doing it for me anymore. And so now it's more like, honestly, I barely even drink now anymore. Like I drink a couple times a month just because I'm out of the environment.
Yes. And hey, look, that's this. Look, folks. And we do need a drinking game here. So everybody wants to know. Maybe next week we'll line up a drinking game so that every time I say a word, everybody has to drink along with me because, I love to have fun. That's just the backbone of what it is. But I'm like you. I love both. I love learning about structure, and I also love about being loose and free and everything else. So, one more thing that I wanted to get into that we're gonna switch back to being serious just for a moment, folks.
Oh, you're good, man. I bartended for a decade, so like that was me being serious. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
that's not me being serious.
So I'm gonna ask you this because I think you have something special. Okay. So I'm gonna ask the question is like, so what is like your strategy going forward in not only kind of opening up people to what Web3 is, but what is like your content strategy in building out a way to educate people on what Web3 is, what the metaverse is, in a way that is consumable and that people will know how to actually intake and learn from it, because there's a lot of people that pass a lot of misinformation. And I know because of when I started investigating, I was like, this has nothing to do with like what Web3 is. And then like I said, I found you, thanks to Raquel, and you pretty much hit on point with a lot of the things going on. And for those who don't know, guys, he's here on LinkedIn, first of all, number one. So he does an everyday audio room on Web3 and cryptocurrency. He kind of keeps people informed of what's going on. He also does a newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, please go check it out. But like, what is his strategy for you going forward as far as like how you feel like you're going to be a more prominent voice? And I hate using the word thought leader. I hate it, but eventually that's what you will become, because it's just going to be a natural progression for you. You have the skill set and the background from it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you say that. Okay, so first I'm going to touch on that in reverse order. Just on the thought leader thing, I hate the way that it's used, same way that like the term guru and mastermind get used, because especially like thought leader, like up until a few years ago, that actually used to just be like a normal thing. Like same with like social proof and stuff. When we would talk about that, because I taught myself, and this all feeds into your question.
Yes.
I'm self-taught with marketing and everything because I got out of the food and beverage industry. I worked directly with like the head of brand for Four Loko and Three Olives and Sailor Jerry and stuff like that. And when you start to work around like the people that are actually in charge of that shit, you start to realize that there's a lot more to it than just, oh, hit 10 sales in an hour, blah blah blah. Like none of that matters. KPI tracking, that's like marketing operations. When you're into like actually getting into the strategy, it's a completely different level. And a lot of people, like, you don't need like some of the most prolific marketers that I've met never went to school for marketing. That's not what they went to school for. They went to school for something else that they thought was important, and then they were like, oh, I need to learn marketing. And then they found out that it was actually really easy to get into marketing. The core tenets of marketing is just leveraging and understanding how to communicate with people and how to present information in a way that's picked up naturally and easily. Most people have to try for that, and the people that are the best at it don't have to try for it because of whatever it is. For me, I spent a decade bartending, and like I said, getting out of that industry and working directly with these brands and seeing how much there was like a connection between the bottom line sale versus the top level strategy and how they directly connected. Um, that was for me really enlightening. So I taught myself everything through LinkedIn Learning back when it was lynda.com. I was
Yes.
taking classes through like, from Marketo, like all of these like high level marketing firms that were focusing on enterprise level marketing in like 2014 and stuff like that. To me, that was the best because these guys are they're working with the companies that have the money to not care about what will or won't work. They were doing the experimentation on social media back in 2013 when people were still just playing around on it. That actually messed me up because one, that's when I learned the concept of like a thought leader and social proof, and nobody was saying those things back then. And now everybody's saying it because it's such a buzzword. But back then it actually was just like, yo, when you have the ability to think for yourself, you're a thought leader. When you can create content by just thinking and it makes sense and people resonate with that, that's thought leadership. Now it's like oh hey, sign up for this 3 month course and we'll teach you how to be a thought leader. Like the fact that you're even doing that means you're not a thought leader, first of all. Okay, like period. Um so what you were talking about specifically though was like what we call in like web3 and everywhere else, but specifically in web3 the terms that are being thrown around is brand awareness and activation. How do we
Yes.
get people to become aware and how do we get them to do something with that, right? And so for me it's actually really easy because I believe in what I call like the rule of seven. And there's another term for it. There's every other marketer has another term for it, but pretty much in order to become top of mind aware of something, to be able to get to the point where you're talking to somebody and they're asking the question where they're saying like I want to know more about that thing, they either have to be asking a question where the thing that you're telling them is the answer, which is they're looking for the answer. Most of the time that's not how it is. Most of the time you're going to be communicating with people in passing and you're going to have to become relevant to them as it makes sense to them. So I actually lean into that understanding that you're gonna have to have a concept in front of somebody at least 7 times before they start to really become aware of that concept. And after that point in time, they're more likely to start asking questions and try to figure out how that fits in. And if you can do things like have a big company that means a lot to an individual, then maybe it doesn't have to be 7 times. Maybe it could be 3 times because they just need to see that big thing that happens. So what I've been leaning to is the fact that it's not really going to be me that makes the awareness happen because it's happening everywhere around us. If you look around, like and just anybody in this chat right here, odds are they've been hearing the term NFT, Web3, cryptocurrency for anywhere from 6 months to 5 years, depending on how long they've been around the block. And it's that amount of time, and it's the fact that they've been in that space for that long that allows me to know that hey, they've probably heard these terms. I don't need to be the first person that says NFT to them and be like, hey, big flashy sign NFT, do you know what that is? Like that's not, because that's not going to work. That doesn't even matter because they're going to come to terms with it when they want to. So many people have already been accustomed, they've been introduced to these concepts that it's not a matter of showing it to them and having them be like, oh, I want to know about that, but rather having it steep for the right amount of time and then have something happen that allows them to consciously recognize that they want to know more about that. And then from there, it's just a matter of being accessible and saying, yeah, like ask me questions, DM me, like hit me up on Twitter, like dead ass. Like I'm here to answer your questions because once you get to that point where you're like, okay, now I want to know, you've crossed a threshold, um, you know, as far as like your thought is concerned. And now like you have a question and you're not going to rest until there's an answer to that. And if the longer that you've been sitting on the sideline paying attention, the more that you're going to have to actually be comfortable with that answer because Web3 is so diverse and there's so much going on to it. And it's more than just trading pictures of monkeys and trading shit coins back and forth. Like it's so much more than that. It is to me like the future of technology. So it's not about me getting people to be like, oh wow, NFT, what's that? Can I make money with it? And it's more like getting people to realize like, yo, why is this picture of a monkey worth $1 million? Because like that's the question that will actually allow me to sit there and have like a 10-minute conversation with them where I can be like, okay, I can answer that question. I can give you the 90-second answer that's just going to leave you more confused than you were when you asked it. Or I can give you the 7-minute answer that's going to be a top down, and you're going to walk away with like a complete understanding of, at least conceptually, what that is and why that matters. And that might give you the ability to ask another question. This goes back to what I think I was trying to say earlier about the wine thing. I always try to tell people, when you're, and it literally, it works the same either way. When I was selling wine, I would tell people, hey, especially people that had no fucking idea what they wanted. I get people all the time that would come in and be like, yo, I want some wine. I don't drink wine. What kind of wine is a good wine? And it's like, yo, there's thousands of wines out there, man. Like it's just a completely subjective thing. So rather than me tell you what the best wine is, because that doesn't exist, I can ask you a couple of questions that will allow you to make a determination to move in a direction. And from there, you can start to figure out how you want to move from that point. But you have to be mindful about it. So it's like when I was serving tables, I'd be like, hey, what are you going to eat tonight? I'd see that blue collar couple come in, and it's obviously their anniversary where they're spending $150 once a year to be able to celebrate that night. And they want the whole shebang. They want the appetizer and the sushi and the steak and the wine and the dessert. And I could already tell before they even like order. And so when that question comes, or whenever they hit me with, hey, let me just get a house red, I'd be like, okay, Merlot, Malbec, Petit Verdot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Zinfandel, which kind of red you want? Because I already know that you're just saying house red, because that's the easy thing. But to swing back and be like, yo, get uncomfortable again. What do you want? Oh, you don't know? Cool, well, let me help you. What do you want to eat tonight? You're going to be chicken with some herbs, or are we going to be eating some steak with some sauce, or are you going to be eating some fish, or are you like completely vegan and you're going pasta? Those answers will allow me to say, hey, here's the best wine for what you're going to be eating. And then from there, you can figure out, was that good or bad? Did I like it or did I not like it? Same mentality applies into Web3. Once I tell you that thing and you say, hey, I have a question. What the fuck is an NFT? Why is this picture of a monkey worth $1 million? And it's like, okay, I can answer that question, and I will tell you the answer to that question. And then from there, you're either going to be like, oh, okay, and not say anything ever again and be like, wow, that was really fucking dumb. Or you're going to be like,
yeah,
why this? And it's like, cool. So that's my thing, is like, if you can get to the point where you are consciously aware of the why, like, it's okay to be confused. Like, lean into that, because if you, the fact that you're even aware right now at this point in time as a human,
yes,
of these terms and have even a tenuous grasp of what they mean, puts you ahead of like 99% of the rest of the people in the world right now, period. Because, and it's not like an arrogant thing, like that's facts. Like you can go look at the data on Google and on social media and be like, wow, comparatively speaking, this is a very hot topic for a tiny group of people. But it just so happens that that tiny group of people is hyper connected through social media. So we're seeing each other in passing left and right everywhere we go. And so we think it's big, but the minute that we step out of our house and we go touch grass, we realize that, oh shit, like most people don't know what this means. Like 9 out of 10 people outside of my house, you're not connected to me on Twitter, don't know shit about any of this. And so that's where my goal isn't to be like, hey, because like, dude, nobody has the time to convert each person one at a time.
Yes,
Instead, I'd rather get it to the point where everybody's asking questions together, and that's it.
Oh my god, I gotta look. I gotta say thank you, assholes in the chat, because they've been trying to make me laugh this whole fucking time. Because.
Bro, and motherfuckers like Dennis talks a lot. I'd be like, you're so fucking lucky. Bro, dead ass. Like,
well, it's not just the talking, but what they're trying to do is catch me off guard, and they know it. They're being assholes, and that's okay. And it's exactly. Cheers again. Let's not spill it on the computer this time. But this is what I love about these sort of conversations. I'm going to have you back, because 45 minutes is not enough time to convert everything of like what I want to be. So
wrap it up in 3 minutes. Like, ask me something and push me to answer it in 10 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to ask you the silly question that I sent you in the thing. So will humans ever be in a place in the future to marry their robots?
Oh yeah, they're already there. Conceptually, that's already happening. So yeah, I just saw a Facebook reel about a lady that's in love with a carnival ride. So yeah, there's a guy in Japan that's got like a digital girlfriend already. So I mean, the pieces are there.
They're there,
and that's what Web3 is about. All the pieces already exist. It's just a matter of connecting them.
There you go, folks. So we're bringing this together. But okay, I want you guys real quick. Dennis, again, does an everyday LinkedIn audio event talking about Web3 and crypto.
I'm going to grab the link for tomorrow. And
okay.
In that comment
yes,
section.
And it will be there. We're doing it tomorrow, 10 a.m. So if you want to go head over there and check it out, please do. And he also does it Monday through Friday on LinkedIn. And then afterwards, he does a Twitter space. So if you want to learn more about what this is and what he does, go check out his content, please, on LinkedIn. Check out his newsletter. Also subscribe. And connect with Dennis because he is an awesome individual. So, and we're going to bring you back for more because people are already telling me they love this. So we will be back again and having this conversation. But before we get out of here, folks, I want to say really quickly, please, afterwards, after the live stream, please go check out my friend, Mr. Travis Lochner, who's going to be doing his Feel Good Friday. He does his Club Link on Fridays. Dennis, if you have never experienced Club Link, it is like a digital networking space that Travis does. And there's Travis right there, guys. So he's about to go launch here in a few minutes. So afterwards, if you want to go check out what Club Link is, it is awesome. A lot of people join in the chat. It's very fun. People connect, and it is just like he mixes music. He does a lot of really great creative visuals that go along with it, and I think it's just a fun space to kind of operate in. So afterwards, please go check out Mr. Travis T. Lochner after this and Feel Good Friday. This is the last episode of the season for him. It is always a fun interaction with everybody that's here. So guys, please help me head over there and go check them out. And please give a round of applause to Dennis. What a wonderful guest you have been, man. And again, I will have you back because this is fun, and I don't think I can wrap up everything in 45 minutes. This might be a continued series because I think you have...
tomorrow morning. If you want to talk.
Yeah, I'll believe me, I'll be there tomorrow morning. So, because again, I love what you share, and Dan says golf sucks, but that's okay. There's always something that sucks.
He said he wanted a gift for attending the timeshare presentation.
Okay. Yes. So yeah. So again, thank you again, everybody who's been a part of this one. Thank you, number one, Dennis, for what you do and what you continue to do. I'm a big fan, big admirer, big supporter. I will be following what you do more often. I hope everybody here will also take into account and go learn about what Web3 is with Dennis. And then number two, from the bottom of my heart, folks, everybody, thank you for tuning in this week. It's been a wonderful launch week. I didn't know if I was going to be able to launch on Monday because my account got restricted on LinkedIn, and this is where my majority of my crowd is. And you guys showed up, you came through, and you guys have been a constant reminder of why I continue to do this every single day. And I will, again, always tell you guys, you are the lifeblood of what I do as a creator. And I will always continue to do my best to bring the best presentation, the best guests, and the best shows that I possibly can to every single one of you here that shows up here. So thank you again so much, everybody, for being here. And thank you again, Dennis, for being a wonderful guest. And again, believe me, I'm doing 100 episodes this season, so I still got lots of time space to fill and slot, so I will have you back on the show.
You already know. I spend 3 hours a day making content.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So, again, if you guys want to go check out the Twitter space that he does, and also here on LinkedIn, there's a link in the comments. It's an actual link. You can go click it, go hit the 10 button, and go follow Dennis on LinkedIn. So thank you, Dennis, again for a wonderful conversation. And again, thank you, every single one of you, for a wonderful week. We're going to wrap up Friday night and head off into the sunset for the weekend. Be safe, be blessed, don't do anything stupid, and you guys have a wonderful evening. So until Monday evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, guys, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Good night, everybody.